North Korea, known for its brutal work camps, sending 3 American prisoners home tonight. We're told that those prisoners did see doctors a couple of times, including when they touched down in Alaska. Dr. Marc Siegel is a Fox News medical contributor, and we want to talk to him about what they may have gone through. Dr. Siegel, always great to have you with us.
Great to see you, Shannon. Good to be with you.
It's good initially in that they were able to walk to the planes themselves. We're told that they're in much different condition than the way that Otto Warmbier, unfortunately, was returned to his family and died just days later. What would you be most concerned about in getting a good look at these folks?
Well, as you mentioned, Otto Warmbier was actually, I believe, probably poisoned, and he was given truth serum and he was overdosed. This is totally different, but the conditions in North Korean prisons, according to Human Rights Watch, are just horrendous in terms of malnutrition, no medications, forced labor, starvation, not enough water. So we're talking about dehydration and malnutrition. Obviously, a lot of psychological problems. There's going to be post-traumatic stress. Now, two of these 3 prisoners, by the way, are very devout. One is a pastor. Kim Dong-chul is a pastor in the church, and Kim Hak-sung is a Christian missionary. I believe faith will play a role here. Faith may have helped them to survive, and it may decrease the post-traumatic stress that they suffer. But there's definitely going to be long-term emotional problems as a result.
Yeah, and we think about the North Korean defector who ran and was shot numbers of times as he was running across the border. And the look that we got at him, this is how it was reported at the time by the AP. They said surgeons treating that North Korean soldier who was severely wounded by gunfire while escaping to South Korea have removed dozens of parasites from his body, including presumed roundworms as long as 11 inches long. That's according to hospital officials. I mean, this is a member of the military. You would think he would have probably better treatment than the average citizen living there, and yet he was full of health issues, never mind the bullet wounds. It sounds like it's a rough place to be.
You know, Shannon, I'm glad you brought that up, because in addition to the malnutrition, in addition to the starvation and the lack of proper fluids, there's also a lot of parasites around there in the soil, and they're going to have to carefully check these men for parasites. So even if they look like they're healthy now, they have to have a very careful going over. What does their blood work look like? You know, what are their electrolytes? What are their blood chemistries? What are their blood counts? Are they anemic? There's so many diseases that they could be suffering from, but parasites are definitely at the top of the list. We don't think about that here in the United States, but it's all over the place in North Korea.
And Dr. Siegel, you mentioned their faith, you mentioned the psychological trauma that they've been through. What's the best advice for them, for their loved ones who obviously want to smother them with a welcome home and are just overwhelmed and overjoyed? I mean, what kind of space do they need? What kind of help will they need as they try to readjust to their lives here?
Well, you know, with post-traumatic stress, and we're talking about forced labor, we're talking about beatings, there's sexual coercion over there. You know, there's a lot to be thinking about. And I would just say to families, to loved ones, this takes time. It's a slow, gradual process. You're going to see nightmares. You're going to see dissociation. You're going to see flashbacks. Now, none of these things for sure, but that's what they have to be on the lookout for. And you're right. Smother them with love, but the recovery definitely takes a long time. We've seen it here in the United States from people coming back from war. We've seen it with prisoners before. This is going to be a very bad case, I believe.
It will be, but as you said, hopefully the faith has helped sustain some of those men, if not all 3 of them.
That's a huge part.
Yeah. Dr. Siegel, thank you so much. Good to see you.
Thanks, Shannon.